Alright, this episode is titled Robin's Reckoning Part 1. Came out on February 7th, 1993. Directed by Dick Sebast. Written by Randy Rogel. Animation by Spectrum. Featuring Kevin Conroy as Batman Bruce Wayne, Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. as Alfred, Lauren Lester as Robin and Dick Grayson, Joey Simrin as 9-year-old Dick Grayson, Tom Wilson as Tony Zuko and John Grayson, Eugene Roach as Arnold Stromwell, Paul Eading as Ferris Dolan, and Diane Pershing as Mary Grayson.
Oh, Paul Eading!
Honorable mentions here. Spectrum animated this episode, and they previously animated the episodes that we've reviewed, which were Under the Wings, Heart of Ice, It's Never Too Late, POV, Vendetta, Beware the Grey Ghost, and See No Evil. Now, I'm going to come out and say this right now. I think Spectrum is the best animator for the show.
100% agree. This episode looked fantastic.
Yes, it really did.
It looked so good. The younger Bruce Wayne and Robin, just like, you know what? It screamed anime to me. Like, I felt like I was like, do you remember? There used to be that show Rurouni Kenshin, which was like more of a lighthearted anime. But then they came out with that super dark like version of like how he became like the most feared samurai in all the world. Do you remember that? And it was like super dark and like it was that desaturated look, and this is what this whole episode had. And like that younger Bruce, I was like, man, this just feels like a Japanese version of Batman the Animated Series.
It's pretty dope. So yeah, they're a big anime studio, and they've worked on a ton of anime. I'm not a big anime guy myself, but I know that they were mostly selected because of their anime choice. And also, I found out just by investigating further that Batman the Animated Series, they were heavily influenced. Like they wanted that like true anime look to it, in the sense of like the way characters move and the immense detail and depth. That's what they wanted.
I tell you what else was the anime influence I saw in this was a lot of Lupin the Third. I don't know if they did that as well.
I don't know.
The thugs in this episode that they beat up, one of them looks exactly like Lupin the Third, and I was like, that's interesting.
Huh. Well, there's some interesting facts about the thugs as well. But so, continuing honorable mentions, director Dick Sebast has been credited previously on this podcast in our The Cat and the Claw Part 2 review. So go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear more about his career. Writer Randy Rogel has been credited previously in this podcast as well in our Two-Face Part 1 review, as well as being a guest on this podcast. So go back and listen to those episodes if you're interested in hearing more about Randy's career. Then we got acting creds. All returning characters have been credited previously in their first appearances on this podcast, such as Lauren Lester in Christmas with the Joker, or Eugene Roach as Arnold Stromwell? Yeah, Arnold Stromwell in It's Never Too Late. Did you recognize him as a returning character? He's the uncle of Tony Zuko, is the guy in It's Never Too Late who has the kid who's addicted to heroin, and the one who has a brother with the same character. I didn't know if you would recognize him or not.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so he returns, and that's the last time we see him in the show. But yeah, go back and listen to those episodes if you're interested in learning more about those voice actors and their career. And a special note as well for Diane Pershing, who briefly plays Mary Grayson in this episode. She is obviously best known for playing Poison Ivy, and also has been a guest on this podcast previously, and was an absolute delight, so go back and listen to that episode if you haven't yet already.
Lovely woman.
Lovely, lovely woman, absolutely. New actor credits for this episode. Joey Simrin, who plays 9-year-old Dick Grayson, is also known for playing Truman in the movie 9 Months, Murphy in Little Giants, and Schaefer in The Deep End of the Ocean. Movies that I've never seen but are big, so I just threw them in there in case anyone knows who Joey Simrin is. Paul Eading, who plays Ferris Dolan, is also known for playing Perceptor in Transformers, Max Tennyson in Ben 10, Jonathan Kent in multiple Superman animated films, Reflux in The Incredibles 2. I love that character. Do you know I'm talking about? The one with the acid reflux? I love that character. And Colonel Campbell in Metal Gear Solid games.
Okay.
So the guy that they interrogate on the high beams... Mm-hmm. In the construction site, that's the Colonel from Metal Gear Solid.
And that's the character that's always just like talking to Snake, right?
Yes, and Snake. Yeah. And then finally, Tom Wilson plays Tony Zuko. Before I go into these credits, Bud, did you recognize the voice of Tony Zuko?
No, it just sounds like any stereotypical guy from the tri-state area.
Okay, so Tom Wilson, who plays Tony Zuko, is also Matt Bluestone in Gargoyles, Joey the Rocket Man in Superman the Animated Series, Howlin' Jake, I was going to say Jack, and then I changed it
Christopher
to
Walken there. Howlin' Jake.
Howlin' Jake the biker in the new Batman Adventures, Stan Carter in Spectacular Spider-Man, and finally, Tom Wilson is Biff Tannen in all of the Back to Future movies and animated series.
Oh, okay.
So that, can you hear that now? Like, McFly! And he's like, the bat! It's the same guy, right? Okay, utility belt of fun facts. This episode marks the first portrayal of Robin's origin outside the comics. So this is the first time it was ever done on TV. Batman's costume in the flashback sequence was a cross between the original Bob Kane design and the Batman Year One design. What did you think about that costume?
That signal across his chest looks so good.
It does, and I love the belt with the pockets, like the little like pouches. That looks so much better than the utility belt. I was like, why don't we have this bat suit anymore? Like, I know the new Batman Adventures kind of adopts that, but you know, it doesn't look like that. Like, that is peak Batman.
The show starts, and did they say Batman's? It's this. I'm very confused. Was he just so good at keeping in the shadows for like 6 years or 8 years? Because Robin's like half of Robin's life's gone by. He said, "Yeah, that worked to me when I was in the 6th grade." And he's like what, like 10 when his parents die or something like that.
He's 9.
He's 9, yeah, and he's clearly like a late teenager, if not early 20s. And he does say like he's like, I've been looking for him for half my life as well.
Yeah, so he must be like 18, 19 because he's at college. So yeah, you're right. For about 10 years, Batman operated with like a young Dick Grayson, and what really
barely people knew him, right?
And you're right.
10 years into your career, and you now have the bat signal.
Yeah, because as we go back to episodes we've already reviewed, where like in the Pretty Poison episode, he's chasing a guy across a rooftop, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm your worst nightmare." And we're like, "How do you not know who Batman is unless you're new in town?" But we've got Mask of the Phantasm, which really messes this timeline up for me, because you've got him becoming Batman in that film. You see him obviously put on the mask in front of Alfred, and he goes out, and obviously that suit that he put on in front of Alfred in Mask of the Phantasm was the one that he was wearing in the flashback of this episode. So this must have happened right after he became Batman, because otherwise, he's been operating for so long on his own, and like a lot of the villains, we've seen their origins in this as well. So like, what was he just fighting thugs the whole time? I think
the first decade of Batman's life was just thugs, baby.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I mean, Joker's always been there, I think. But yeah.
It makes sense. He cleaned up so much of just the organized crime that they had to get super organized.
I like that. But yeah, the timeline's messy. But I know what you mean. Like, yeah, why was he that hidden for so long? And then when he got Robin, people were like, oh, well, Batman and Robin. I know who these guys are now all of a sudden.
Maybe it's because Robin was so, like, his costume was so flamboyant and in your face that you were like, did you see the Bat guy and the little boy in the tights? Because I ain't going to forget that image anytime soon.
And I wonder how long he was training for with Bruce until he became Robin. That's something I'm sure there's probably explored in the DCAU comic books, but for me, when I'm watching this episode, I was like, all right, so you're 9 years old. When did you first put on the Robin costume and go out? Were you a young Robin? Like, were you younger than you are now?
I would hope so, right? The boy, to see him as the boy wonder. Also, the way his character looked was so Dick Sprang, don't you think? Like the way little Robin was drawn. And there's the scene when Batman goes to comfort Dick and he's like crying by the window. And I just think the animation is excellent there. Like the colors, the vibe, the framing when he looks up at his parents and they have that conversation.
Oh, that
I
scene,
felt like
man.
I was no longer watching a kid's cartoon. I was watching an anime. Like seriously.
I will say that scene is definitely my favorite scene of the whole episode, and this episode is really good. This episode might contend for our top 3 at the end for me because I thought it was really well done. But
I don't think it was that good, but it was very good.
That scene where Bruce is talking to Dick and he's trying to comfort him. Kevin Conroy has this way of putting so much depth and empathy and emotion in his voice when he needs to do it. Like, you know, he's hard, gritty Batman most of the time, or he's like playboy, you know, fun-loving Bruce Wayne. But when he's like, he finds this blend of the Batman voice and Bruce Wayne voice when he's being sympathetic with Dick, and it was just like I was sitting there amazed at how good Conroy was. It was rich like butter. I was like, God damn, that is just touching.
And I love like Alfred being the one to be like, hey, remember? Like he was like, oh, well, I think he's got everything. I love how Alfred was like, don't you remember what you needed? Like maybe a friend at that point. Like,
yeah,
good. That's why Alfred's the fucking like Alfred is the. Like, because Batman had to turn into a stone cold motherfucker, right? He's like, I'm gonna fucking get vengeance on all these pieces of shit out of Gotham that killed my fucking parents. Yep. And Alfred's like, don't forget you're a human being with a heart that you need to use every now and then. You're kind of like my Alfred, basically, because I hate people and I'm very cold. And I sometimes need to be reminded, like, well, there's some niceties in the world.
Yeah, I love how Alfred also said, like, there's someone upstairs that, like, needs your attention as much as like the criminals in Gotham. I'm paraphrasing there, but I thought that was really well said by him. So continuing on, this episode won an Emmy for outstanding animated programming, and
I'm
deserved it.
Not surprised at all.
Absolutely. In a flashback, Jim Gordon appears as a detective with red hair, a nod to his look in Batman Year One.
Fucking loved that shit, man.
Yeah. Did your wife watch this with you?
Yeah, she did, yeah.
And we, as we know in previous episodes, she's a bit of a lover of Jim Gordon. She wouldn't mind spending a night with that. And redheads, yes. So what did she think of redheaded Gordon?
She said that when she first saw my dating profile, the reason she went out with me is because I looked like Michael C. Hall. Because at the time when I was skinnier, Dexter, I did have a bit of a Dexter look. So that's the only reason why she like said yes to my profile. She's like, oh, he kind of looks like Michael C. Hall. Like, that's fine by me. I'm gonna kill you.
You don't look like Dexter anymore.
No, I look like Michael C. Many Halls.
Michael C. Ball.
Michael C. Ball.
But what did she think of Gordon with red hair? Did she
we
say
didn't
anything
talk about it, so no, he didn't say anything.
She's thinking about it downstairs on her own right now.
Yeah, she's got an hour and a half to herself, so.
So more fun facts here. Tony Zuko has 3 henchmen who you said resemble an anime character, but they are also loosely based off of Biff Tannen's gang in Back to the Future 2. They look somewhat similar to his gang, which is obviously an ode to Tom Wilson, who voiced Tony Zuko. When Batman removes his belt during the flashback sequence, he appears to still have a line of yellow above his waist. Did you see that when he takes off his belt? You didn't see that? It was just like a huge yellow band, and there was a load of close-ups of it. I'm like, guys, he's taken his belt off. Come on.
Well, maybe like you, he used some shitty paint to paint his belt with, and it's left a residual paint on him.
Residual paint?
Not residual, residue.
Alfred to get the residual paint.
And I don't know. Alfred's like, I fucking told you it was going to leave residual paint, sir. Fine.
Dick's parents were supposed to be shown falling during their trapeze performance, but that was pretty much out of the question.
Everyone knows this.
Yep. So as co-creator Eric Radomski explained, we came up with the idea of the trapeze ropes going through the scene with a spotlight on them and then coming back with one sheared rope and stinging with appropriate music. That approach paid off, and it actually is one of the reasons we won the Emmy. So I think that's a pretty cool reason to change it.
Not just that the snap of the rope is powerful, it's the fact that when it cuts to Bruce Wayne, he's looking down. So
yes,
the story's told off camera so easily there.
Yeah, it's really
everyone was looking up, it snaps, and then cut to everyone looking down.
What did you think of that whole circus sequence?
Great. I love Bruce Wayne being like, oh, it's Bruce Wayne. Oh, my popcorn. Oh, my drink. Oh, I biffed it.
Yeah, I love when he pretends to be such a doofus where people are like, there's no way that guy's Batman. Look at how stupid
exactly.
he is.
How is that guy the most eligible bachelor in Gotham City? Like, how many women got the ick just there seeing Bruce, spill his... Like, the popcorn they can understand, but the drink? The drink is a step too far.
And people are sitting below him. Like, he was in a high-rise stand.
Someone's like, oh, mother... Like, someone's just drenched in Diet Coke.
Someone becomes a vigilante and swears vengeance against Bruce Wayne because they got drenched in Diet Coke.
Just goes against the rich. That's how, Robin Hood starts.
Oh god, we just mentioned Coke again. That's the second episode. Last time we were plugging Coca-Cola.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola. That'd be
Uh,
an interesting villain in the Batman universe. Is a Robin Hood that's taking from the rich and giving to the poor. Wayne Enterprises gets 80% of their money taken away by somebody, and they're giving it out to everybody. And Batman has to see that actually everyone's got affordable housing now and all this stuff, but it's all from his own money.
That could be pretty good. Yeah,
But that in the old back pocket.
So Batman's like the sheriff of Nottingham in this situation.
Yeah,
that's kind of fun. I like that. Is the guy going to be as flamboyant as Robin Hood? Like Green Arrow, but worse? Like, haha, Batman, I'm going to steal money from Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah,
here's my arrow.
Some sort of failed theater teacher or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so more fun facts. According to Bruce Timm, it was Shirley Walker's idea to not have any music during the sequence of Batman infiltrating Stromwell's estate, which was the first time an action sequence had been done in the series without any music behind it. What did you think about that whole, him infiltrating that Stromwell's estate and taking out the thugs in the dark?
Great, loved it.
Yeah, I thought he looked so good. There were so many Love That Batmans in this episode. I was I don't know which one to choose. Right? That's the one I did end up choosing, was Cracking the Knuckles. Tony Zuko's voice is reminiscent of John Travolta's, quite possibly as a reference to the similarity in names between Tony Zuko and Travolta's Danny Zuko in the movie Grease.
But is Tony Zuko a character actually from the comics?
He is, yes.
And was this character created before or after the film Grease?
I don't know, because they might be similar. No, because I don't know when Robin's story came into the comics, his backstory.
Robin has been around since the
40s.
40s, yeah.
But
30s.
I don't know his backstory. I don't know when that came to be. Specifically Tony Zuko killing his parents.
When did Grease come out? 1980 or something like that?
I thought it was the 60s. No, it's not the 60s.
The 60s? It's not the 60s.
It's 70s.
It's based in the 50s.
It's 70s. That's when.
Yeah, but is it? I think I know it's the 70s vibe, but I didn't know if it was one of those things where it's in 1980 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that Tony Zuko and Danny Zuko, with their impersonation or what Tom Wilson decided to do, I thought Tom Wilson was just being Biff Tannen. That's really what I've
I didn't see any connection between the two. I don't see a connection between the two. Why would you be hey, you know what we should do? The guy who killed Robin's parents, we should base it off of Grease.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
What?
What? So after he kills the Flying Graysons, he does a song and dance number?
Yeah. Tell me more, gonna kill the Graysons.
Oh, okay. So one of Tony Zuko's aliases names in this is Sid the Squid. And that name appears again in the episode The Man Who Killed Batman later on, as it's given as a nickname to the character.
That episode will probably take a top 3 spot. That is a classic.
It is a very good episode. I do love that one a lot. One that Mark Hamill always, I don't know if he still does, but used to quote at Comic-Cons all the time. He would read the eulogy to Batman as that Joker read. It's so good. But okay, what did you think of this episode overall then?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, we're not doing too much joking here because it was a well-animated, well-told little episode. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I thought the music was really good too. I really enjoyed the music in this episode, or the lack of music in certain scenes. I thought was great. What did you think of Tony Zuko as a character and a villain?
Pretty throwaway, but so is Joe Chill, right? And I think that's part of the charm, is that they're not these huge evil villains. They're just fucking thugs, you know?
Yeah, they are, and they work really well in these situations. And I didn't even think about that. He is very much a throwaway Joe Chill character. It's just he is the reason that they become who they are, but not the person they're destined to fight forever. It's not their arch nemesis. What do you think of Batman trolling Robin at the start with all the
Batman is just a fucking dick to Robin constantly in this whole episode. I think he's I don't want him around anymore. Or maybe Robin forgot his birthday or something. Alfred didn't remind him. Something's going on, because he is such a meanie to Robin through this whole episode.
He is. I think that this episode also sparks the beginning of the end for them, right? You know.
Oh, well, I mean, to be fair, the Batman catches the guy that killed Robin's parents and doesn't tell him. That would be the beginning of the end for me as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's being super protective, but and controlling in the worst ways possible. And yeah, he's not so much thinking about Robin, he's thinking about like, what would I do in this situation if the roles were reversed? And
But
I think
Batman did have to save his fucking skin in a thug fight, you know? There was that
Yeah.
guy shooting nails at his fingers and he nearly got
All
shot
right.
off.
Let's talk about that.
Batman had to come in with a crane and knock that motherfucker out.
That scene, that guy who looks like from Popeye, what's his name, Mr. Wimpy or whatever, like I will gladly trade you Tuesday for a hamburger today. He looked just like that guy. He's shooting a nail gun. He's like 3 feet away from Robin, and he's just firing at his hands, and he's missing every single time. I'm like, are you
did
cross-eyed?
You see the way he was holding it? He's like, all right, I'm going to hold it to the side on my left, and I'm going to just hope it hits something.
Yeah. This is how they shoot the gun, right? They hold it by the waist.
I was never trained in how to handle a gun. Is this how you do it? It's like you're holding a baby. It's like, you hold a baby like that? Don't you?
I'll gladly trade you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
I'm not nailing it, you guys. I'm not nailing it. I'm missing every shot over here. It's just like, just hold it like a gun. Oh, like a gun. Gotcha. He like just turns around, shoots it backwards like this. Ow, I'm shooting myself.
Robin's gone by this point. He's like,
they're gone. They left. We beat them. We nailed it, you guys.
I also thought that they were going to make like a fat joke at one point because that guy is quite large. And Robin swings in and he goes, "It's back to the gym for you." And I was like, wow, Robin, that was just mean.
I
That's
didn't even
unnecessary.
put two together there.
It's back to the gym for you.
He's like, I've been really trying. It's been hard.
And I do love also Batman just walking away from the thug, hanging from the beam, because he wouldn't give him a name. Like, that's some great Batman stuff, right? Where the guy's just hanging there, and he's just like, all right, well, you're not giving me what I want, so bye. And Robin's like, are we doing this? Like, is this happening?
Robin doesn't say, are we doing this? He goes, yeah, and I want to get more information from him. And then Batman's like, whoa, calm down, guy. It's like, you were just doing this, mate. You're teaching me. I'm just following your footsteps. And he's like, fuck off, Robin. Like, he does not like Robin at all.
No.
He's like, why did I go to that circus? I had tickets. I could have done anything that night. Alfred said, oh, Master Wayne, you've got to get out of the house more. You might meet an eligible young lady. Whoa, did I meet an eligible young lady? Eligible? No, I met an eligible young boy who now lives in my cave. Oh, don't tell the police that. He doesn't live in a cave that I own. It's completely fine that I own this boy. I don't own him. I do not own him. He has free will. Willie Dick. His name is Dick.
There was a lot of dick in this episode, wasn't there?
There was. At one point, it seemed like he said, like, shut up, Dick, or something like that. There was something where he really gave emphasis at one point to Dick.
And even though I love the scene where Bruce goes and talks to him, like, to console him, he's like, Dick, are you okay? I was like,
stop crying, Dick.
My dick's leaking.
Could you imagine if Robin was like, it's Richard every time? He's like, sure thing, Dick.
I did think it was funny, though, when that guy was hanging from the beam and Batman was just like, all right, see you later. And the guy falls and Robin is the one that saves him. He like acts quickly and he like throws a rope
Batman
around him.
Completely calculated that.
Maybe, but that's a big calculation and a risk for Batman to be like, Robin will get him. Because if he didn't, that guy was fucking street pizza.
Batman's like, I didn't kill him. He walked on that beam himself. Free
like,
will, right, Dick?
Batman's like, fuck him. He knew the rules.
Yeah.
I told him the game.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I don't know what I'm going to say.
I also noticed that the runway that the Batmobile enters the Batcave in is really, really slim. Like, did you see that Batmobile? I was like, one wrong turn and you're going off the edge of that cliff.
Yeah, health and safety is not been. That's why, yeah, he's like, do you think I could actually have, like, the health and safety inspection of Gotham City come down and look at the Batcave? Oh my god. The amount of citations there would be all over the place would be insane.
They're like, first of all, you have a what living here? A dick? A 9-year-old dick?
He's a little kid that I take out to fight crime with. What? He's a little child that I take out to fight people with guns in the nightlife of Gotham City. He sees prostitutes. Not sees them. He sees them working. He's just not a part of it. He will one day. 18th birthday's coming up, though, you know?
My dick sees prostitutes. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Dick sees prostitutes. He sees drugs. He doesn't do the drugs. Well, it could be. I don't know. You might have to test him. Yeah, he is a little jumping bean, you know? He hops around. He could be on some cocaine. In fact, I thought that was milk powder on his nose, and then I realized that people don't have milk powder on their nose. I'm the world's greatest detective. I have a 9-year-old that's addicted to cocaine, and it's my fault. Also, there's a pit of dead cats down there that we should not look at. And if you want to know who did it, it rhymes with Blaufblid, Lenny's blood. That dude hates cats.
Oh, man. So I want to talk about probably the greatest Alfred outfit ever in this show. Is
Alfred's, his nightwear?
His dressing gown or bathrobe, whatever you want to call it, is amazing.
Made me go, do you know what? I need to step up my fucking game. I was like, why am I not walking around my house in a beautiful dressing gown and a carafe, like for night?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called.
He looked like a pimp, man. I was like...
A carafe is what you put wine into. What is
a cravat?
Cravat, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's dressed like a pimp. He's got this, like, turquoise, nice, fluffy, very comfy, like, bathrobe.
Bruce is like, is that my fucking father's nightwear? It's like, I thought you would not notice that. Well, you're not using it. Someone has used this fine silk.
Well, what do you think Alfred was doing? Because he obviously came down because he
having
heard
a wank,
Batman
sir.
in your father's dressing.
In your father's dressing gown to Martha Wayne. Just out in the bud, looking at Martha. You asked.
Making milk powder.
Milk.
It would be dust coming out of Alfred, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be liquid.
Oh, dear. Like someone's just taken talcum powder and just chucked it in the air.
Oh man, I like Alfred looks so annoyed by being interrupted. I felt like he was like, okay, they're out fighting crime, so they're not coming back for a few hours because Batman just came in.
That the new season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was on tonight, sir, and you know how much that show means to me. You've just interrupted it.
He drops Robin off, and then he fucks off again, and then Alfred's like, now I've got to make him dinner. Because in the next scene, he's in his, like, butler uniform. He's made him a really nice-looking steak and mashed potato dinner and, like, a piece of chocolate cake. Like, he had to make all of that.
He did, and I saw that he didn't finish that chocolate cake, and the fat guy in me was like, why don't you eat normal chocolate cake? It's like you and I distilled as children, like, you have to eat everything on your plate. And then you eat everything. They're like, why are you so fat? I'm like, don't eat everything, but also stop eating so much.
Dick.
Willie.
It's also weird that Robin calls Alfred man. He's just like, it's not okay, man, or something like that. And I was like, you did not address Alfred as man after he's just made you that meal and you've interrupted his night of comfort and relaxation.
I made you corn and carrots and other things that you enjoyed.
Yeah. So I thought the ringleader of the circus looked very much like the Monopoly guy. Like the Mr. Haley, I guess his name is, Haley Circus. He had this massive curly mustache.
If, like, he'd lost all his properties or something like that.
Yeah, and just ate his feelings. Because
I know that game. In there currently.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
You did not come first in the beauty contest. You came first in the prized pumpkin contest, though.
He was a stereotypical ringleader, though, right? Like with the top hat and the red. Like, what was it? What are the things called? Are they like tails? The jacket on the bottom of the jacket? They are called tails, right?
Coattails, yeah.
Yeah, coattails. All right. Yeah, he looks
That's
very much...
That's where the classic saying, like, oh, you're going to be riding on my coattails comes from.
Oh. See?
Well, you didn't know? You didn't realize that?
No, I didn't realize that. Sorry, I don't know all of the analogies and phrases.
It's so literal, though.
Yeah, I guess I never really put two and two together over that one. I'm not the world's greatest detective.
Kind of gave me the ick. You didn't know that, to be honest.
Why are you getting the ick with me? That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't have to be just a sexual thing, the ick. It could be
Oh,
friendship.
there's another thing I'm learning then. I thought it had to be sexual only.
Well, everything is sexual with you, isn't it?
Let's get back to talking about 9-year-old Dick. So... 9-year-old Dick at the circus with his parents. I thought that Batman Forever took so much of this scene, and we know that. But like, there's even a line, word for word almost, where the ring
with the net, right?
Yes, flying Graysons without the aid of a net. I was like, wow, that is Batman Forever. They literally said that. We also see Bullock in his old police uniform again. We haven't seen that since Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, really? He's next to Gordon when they're telling Bruce like that he has nowhere to go, and then Bruce is like, I'll take him. And apparently the scene where Dick says goodbye to his circus family made Bruce Timm and Dan Reber shed tears when cutting it together and overlaying the composed music track. Because
what a bunch of nerds. No, obviously. I once pitched a Batman story to a group of people and I couldn't finish it because I started crying. I made myself cry from something I created.
Really?
So I totally understand what they're talking about, yeah.
Oh, that's
really
nice.
The Haunting of Wayne Manor thing, the ending.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it came out of nowhere. I was explaining to people in a pub, like having a drink, and then I was like, yeah, and at the end, Alfred says, it's okay. Oh, I was like, I'm sorry. I have to go. I need a cigarette and a piss.
Is that why you're crying? Do you have a problem?
It was so embarrassing. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I thought that scene was really well done, though, because, like, when they're like, you always have a home here and stuff, and he gets in the car, and I love that shot of showing him in the back window looking at them as they go further and further away, and then the next scene, music stops, there's just the wind around Wayne Manor, and it's like dark and it's grey, and a bat flies by, and I was like, they did a really good job at showing how isolated and alone Dick really is now.
Yeah, and this giant room that's like, here's your fireplace, which is 3 rooms over there, your window, 2 rooms over there, and your bed with no pillows in the middle of the room.
Good night. Also, that's Bruce's dead parents looking at you. Good night.
They're dead, like yours. I see you put Dick in the dead parents' room. Nice. Gotta start him fresh.
I thought this was going to be the first appearance of Matches Malone in that gambling scene, but he ends up saying it's a different, and I was like, oh, that's a perfect...
It's Matches Malone.
That's what I thought, man. And I looked up Matches Malone because I was trying to remember the name of it, and I found some really cool information here. In the DCAU comic, Batman Adventures, this is canon for the DCAU, Matches Malone was originally a mid-level enforcer for Rupert Thorne, and had a deal with Batman where once a week he would keep Batman informed of Thorne's criminal activities, so Malone would stay out of jail because it was like he was snitching. The arrangement was condoned by Commissioner Gordon as long as Malone kept talking, but Malone began to skim money from Thorne's scores, and one week, on the way to meeting with Batman, Malone was shot by 2 hitmen. Batman found Malone 2 hours later. Right before he died, Batman removed Malone's sunglasses, and for the first time saw the haunting resemblance between him and Bruce Wayne. And he was then like...
He's not like, oh, a dead guy. He's like, this fucking dead guy kind of looks like me.
Yeah. And after that, he was like, okay, I'm going to cover up Malone's death, and I'm going to continue to be Matches Malone, and they'll never know that he died. So I think that's such a crazy, like, kind of serial killer thing of Batman to do. Be like, all right, well, we'll just cover up that death, not put that in the filing cabinet, and now I'm Matches Malone. Like, that's cool, but like a bit scary as well.
I just love... Do you think on his first day he forgot the name? They're like, what's your name? He's like, my name's Smith. Smith? That's like the worst name I could have chosen. They're like, your name is Smith, then. What's your first name? Black? Your name is Black Smith.
Alfred, I need picking up now. I biffed it.
I biffed it so hard. I thought I knew how to play the dice game, but I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. What are we doing here? Chucking dice against the wall? I've lost Wayne Manor in this game, Alfred. It's crazy. I'm going to change the furniture.
He throws 2 6s and he's like, snake eyes. And they're like, dude.
That's That's like a 2 and a 6. He's like, Snake Eyes! A 2 and a 6? Doubles. That was a 3 and a 4. That's dice, baby. That's dice when you're playing with Match's Blacksmith, baby. So, anybody know of any crime or anything going on? Tony Zuko. Who knows? I'm not Bruce Wayne or Batman. You just bet Wayne Manor. I got the pink slip for it. That's for cause. I'm not very good at this. Swear to me. Snake Eyes. Yahtzee. That's bingo, fellas. That's bingo. Tony Zucchini. Can he be trusted?
Jenga.
Uno. Got a 6.
Oh god.
Anybody want to play Scrabble?
that's I love that. Instead of actually gambling, all of the thugs are playing board games at the streets of Gotham.
You're gonna be sorry after we play this game of sorry.
Anybody know of hot action on Monopoly going on tonight? Where's that happening?
What are we playing tonight? Mousetrap? All right, let's get on it. I got 26 squids on the goddamn mouse.
Oh, God. So as I said before, that my love that Batman moment is when he cracks his knuckles to intimidate the thug. I thought that was just awesome. And then I do love the next scene of just him sneaking around Stromwell's estate. As I said before, like him taking out the guards, interrogating Stromwell, like leaving the listening device in his chair arm. That's so Batman in just like the coolest ways possible.
And the animation was really good with the guy with the machine gun when he took him out and ran away from him.
Yes, and he like throws the Batarang at him, like he quickly spins around and jumps on the car of Tony Zuko, and he's like, I was so close, Alfred, I could smell his sweat. And I was like, oh, that's a line. I really like that.
He must have stunk, sir.
There was a windshield between both of you, and you could still smell. He must have been very bad.
He must have just come from the gym, because he fucking stunk. Unless he just goes around like that, Alfred. I mean, maybe he can't afford antiperspirant like we can, if you know what I'm saying.
So at the end of this episode, Robin argues and disobeys Batman and leaves the cave. Batman says, Batman out, when disconnecting the radio call. Yeah. And I was like, is that like a mic drop moment for him? Like that's his stage? Like he was just in a rap battle and he's just like, oh, Batman out, mic drop.
My wife said like it was like him trying a new thing at the most inappropriate time. He's like, all right, everybody, when we're done speaking, we're going to say Batman out, Robin out, and no, you can't say Alfred out. Butler out. Okay. No. Cave out. Okay. Like, oh, we really don't want to do this. So we're going to do it. And then they have the huge argument. He's like, Batman out. See, it works. It sounds cool. Keeping it. Batman
out. I love that. Like thinking about other people that he would have to bring into that, where like Gordon calls him and he's just like, you didn't say it. And he's like, I don't want to say it. He's like, you have to say it if you want me to help. If you want me to help, you have to say it. All right. Gordon out. There we go.
Not Gordon out. Giddly tiddly. Smells like fiddly. Gordon out. There we go. That's how I know it's you.
Did you do the dance move? I can't watch you, but did you do the dance move?
I can hear it, though. Yeah, that's right. I have so much power.
And then we see a clip at the end that I use in all of our social media videos. Not all of them, but like I use it a lot, which is Alfred just shaking his head in disappointment. I love that. That's the last shot of the episode, and they hold on it for so long. And as editing, I'm like, that is just such a great reaction for anything that I'm using in our clips. And that is the end of the episode, part 1 of Robin's Reckoning completed. So as usual, does this make your top 3?
No, because I think the story is just fine, but the animation was excellent. It was probably one of the best animation. Like the vibe of this episode was really, really good.
That's a good point. Like, is the story better than Perchance to Dream?
No way.
Two-Face Part 1
No way.
or Joker's Favor.
No way.
Yeah. Well, we have an agreement where we have to agree on our top 3, so as you don't think it goes on there, then it doesn't go on there. But it definitely gets an honorable mention as being in some of the best.
But we still do our ratings, which is
we do
democratic.
So ranking out of 10, what would you give this episode?
I give it a solid 8 out of 10.
I am also giving it. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was
8.25 out of 10.
I'm giving this episode that high of a ranking because you make a very good point. The story is not amazing. It's the animation. It's the first time that Robin's origin story has been told, which I think it's done really well.
Yeah, it's just covering interesting topics. That's why it's appealing.
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it. And also the flashbacks are great. Like seeing Bruce, and early days Batman in that costume, just, it's awesome. Okay, so an average of what? You gave it 8.5. It's a
8.25.
8.25. I know maths. Next up, we are going. No. Next up, we're going to review Robin's Reckoning Part 2, obviously. So we will come back to that next week and finish this 2-parter.